Dog owners, please don't ignore this behavior, as it can quickly lead to
So I just wanted to set the record. Straight on that, and that's coming from statistics, all right? Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here, and the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every
Hold it. No, sit down.
Oh, you're a clown.
Sit down.
Look at you.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold
Chairman?
it. Hold it. If
Hold
we
on.
can't, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and bullies.
You have,
And that's
you
what-
have
I don't
the
like
mic.
you, because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you, and I accepted your challenge, and you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet.
Hold on.
You challenged me to a cage match,
No,
acting like a
sir.
12-year-old schoolyard
Hold it.
bully.
Excuse
Sir,
me.
hold on.
Hold it. No, excuse me. I have the
I
mic.
will say exactly.
Senator
what he
Mullen,
said.
I have the mic. You have questions on any economic issues, anything that said, go for it. We're not here to talk about physical abuse.
You brought.
We're not
him
talking
in.
about, of course I
And,
did.
and let me tell,
He's-
let me show you his hearing, because I want to expose this thug to who he is. And
Could you not point at me? That's disrespectful.
I don't care about respecting you at all. I
don't
respect people that
respect you at all.
respect. So
All right, hold it.
let me
Hold it. No.
You're one of
Yeah,
100 of the most
Hold
elite
it,
people.
please.
Act it.
Please. All right? This is a, excuse me. This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. All right? If you have questions for Mr. O'Brien or anybody else on what he has said, go for it.
I mean-
But we're not here to talk about fights or anything else.
I'm quoting exactly what he said.
You can
and
say
this
what
is-
you want,
This is
but-
your witness
This
you
is
brought.
my
And let me,
witness.
I'm exposing him.
You can
as a
talk
person
anything
who
you
he
want.
is. So in
But no fight-
2013,
Nope.
in 2013, O'Brien was suspended by the Teamsters for intimidating your own members. In 2014, you were part of, what would you say, organizing the harassment and intimidation of the Top Shelf crew.
Chef, not chef.
Top Chef, okay. And then, and I think in the reports they said sexual, racist, and homophobic slurs and death threats. 14 tires were sliced, and 5 Teamsters were arrested. And you said, well, I had nothing to do with it. But however, in that same statement, you said, but if I get called to testify, I'll plead the fifth. This is a witness you brought in here. In 2017, you were removed as lead negotiator by then President Hoffa for UPS for your actions. And then in 22, when this guy was elected, what he said after he got elected was he wanted to bring the mob mentality back to the Teamsters. This is your guy.
And you're obviously going to give him a chance to respond to your questions.
Absolutely, absolutely, because this is my question. Because you called me out. I didn't call you out.
Yeah, you did.
You said anytime, any place.
That's
what you said.
let's get the record
Okay.
straight.
Ms. Hold it, no.
Hold on.
Senator Mullen, do you have a question for the witness?
Yeah. I think
Okay,
that's what I'm getting
let's
at.
hear it.
I clock out. Clock. I haven't cheated you on anything. You were scheduled 29 and a half hours. As long as you clock in and out on your time, you got your hours. You were scheduled to clock out. Clock out. Last week I told you we counseled you about not taking your break and me going over labor hours because 6.5 hours.
Don't put your finger in my face.
Then get out of the store.
Boy, you don't know who you messing with. Don't do this to me.
Annie, I'm not scared of you anymore.
I'm not scared of you.
Leave. Everybody's mad because I backed up last time. I'm not backing
Don't
up.
you can blow your breath up in my face.
Get out my store.
Just move out of the way.
Both of y'all need to chill. Y'all acting like a 2-year-old. Calm down.
Yeah.
Go sit down.
She's
Y'all
one.
both relax.
No. I'm
Both
tired
y'all
of
need
her.
to relax.
She come in here and she acting like I don't know what. I'm trying to do what I
Hey, my
need
boss
to
is
do.
on the phone. I'm not doing this with you anymore, Annie.
And
You
I'm
want to
not
do
gonna-
it in the back
I
when
don't know
nobody's
what the deal
around?
is with
I'm not
I'm
gonna
tired
do
of
it.
it.
I'm not
You
gonna
want to
do
run
it.
You
this
guys
store? Do you want to run this
arguing
store?
with
Are you
another
sure?
adult.
Opportunity to do
Sit down and do it.
Then you're
alone.
not anymore. And I know boss, and I'm telling you to go
Just
home.
scare people away.
Yeah.
Clock out. Stop on the computer and clock out. You're doing
You know
this.
what? For you to be a boss,
Right.
you're not being very nice.
Right.
I'm not, because I've had her assault me before, ma'am.
No, I didn't
But
assault
you
her.
need to take this somewhere else.
You're
right, I can't get her to go
For
anywhere
all your
else.
Customers.
Right.
You're the one being disrespectful.
Right. Right.
I ain't
I
got
haven't
nothing
clocked in yet. It's not
No.
2:30.
Nope. Nope. No. Y'all let her get this call.
Oh, really?
Y'all need to call corporate.
Give me the number and I will.
She's the manager?
Yes. Acting like that.
Right.
So insane to treat another human being like, put it up. Let me highlight a few elements that I see in this moment of Karenicity. Number one, you see a manager who is obviously not qualified to manage. Communication skills, people skills, it doesn't matter. She's willing to do this in front of every customer. She's willing to do this against an employee, not because they're not working, not because of performance, at least she did not cite that. It was because she did not clock out exactly when she told her she needed to clock out. Now, this is what we call watching the clock, all right? So managers would do this watching the clock thing. And I want to highlight some other dynamics because it's important. So you have the manager, I'm guaranteed she's middle management, okay? She's middle management. She's reacting in such an extreme way. The woman that she's talking with is an elderly woman. This woman should not have to, one, she shouldn't even have to work. Number one, she should not be working or have to. But she's in that position. We live in a country where there's a lot of our elders who have to work. You go to work to get cursed out by your manager because your manager is watching the clock, okay? Because they don't want you, the manager, to go beyond your part-time hours. So they work you right into your part-time hours so that they can go back to the second layer of middle management and say, hey, boss, look what I did. I kept all of the hours within one framework that you told me that I must keep them. And we still got the job done pretty much, okay? This is all about how the upper level middle management will respond to her management. Let me tell you something. While you're cursing out an elderly Black woman, you've now been blasted on national media because of it. You know who's sitting back getting none of this action? The corporation and the country that put you in the middle of it. Do you understand? You're upset at the wrong person. And because of that, because of your lack of willingness to engage thoughtfully about the situation that you're in and the situation that she's in, now look at you. All right, Mr. Mayor, did I get that wrong?
Man, you hit it. Listen, spot on. And I would just like to add that this is all about, people want to know the problem with capitalism. Here's a video of everything wrong with it. This idea that we need to work and monitor, watch over, oversee people doing the labor to ensure that we can bonus, we being middle management, upper level. This is about, if you don't get those hours, if you don't control your hours, you won't bonus. You're out of whack. This is absolutely disgusting. Get as much as you can out of these people. She said, I told you don't take a break. I told you go home, get out of my store. None of that is correct. It's not your store. Right. This idea that you've made yourself one with this entity that could care less about you. And what they're about to do right now, that you're going viral, they're gonna down you. They're gonna disown you. Yep. You're gonna be without a job. The tragic part about it is she shouldn't be out of a job by herself, because what that Karen said was, my boss is on the phone with me right now. That means that boss, whoever it is, allowed her to walk through this entire store screaming at this other employee. Also, she said, I'm not afraid of you anymore. They were mad at me when I bagged down the last time. Sounds like an HR problem to me. You are out here talking about somebody's personnel problems with other people not involved with the case. Yep. All of this sounds like lawsuits, just EEOCs claiming and piling up on top of each other. The lack of management, all of this stress, like you said, which should be aimed at capitalism and this corporation. Instead, you're taking that on your hourly employees, probably making minimum wage or something close to it. You can't tell a difference. It's definitely not a livable wage, and it's causing you this unnecessary stress where you show that you're not management. You shouldn't even be managing yourself if this is how you carry yourself.
Newly revealed footage from the Alec Baldwin movie Rust, showing the actor handling and firing a gun during filming of a scene before the deadly shooting on set. As Chloe Malas reports, it comes as he is potentially facing new charges.
Tonight, never-before-seen footage from the set of Rust, taken in the days before the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Now, wait a second. If I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you.
The clips obtained exclusively by NBC News show the actor preparing for scenes, firing weapons, and interacting with crew members.
I don't know why you're going up hills and all this other. You're going to break your neck.
According to a source familiar with the matter, these videos are among dozens provided to special prosecutors days before they announced plans to recharge Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter. NBC News has not seen the rest of the videos.
Everyone doesn't need to be right here, like in the path of the gun. Could you please move?
The inside look, just a portion of the evidence that could be presented before a New Mexico grand jury starting tomorrow. Tonight, Baldwin's legal team and the prosecution declining to comment on the videos.
I was the one holding the gun, yeah. Okay.
Since the incident, Baldwin has repeatedly denied pulling the trigger in the fatal shooting. The movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence charges. Her trial is set to begin in February.
The gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun.
Tonight, with the possibility of new charges on the line, Alec Baldwin's legal troubles taking center stage as prosecutors bring the deadly incident back into the spotlight. Chloe Malas, NBC News, New York.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Joe Paganakis has been reporting on this issue now for several months. It's a problem Cleveland's Department of Building and Housing is looking to crack down on.
Super tough. I've tried to talk to friends.
Jessica Strong of Cleveland says it's been hard to live without her 2019 Dodge Challenger. Someone collided into her car this past summer, so a friend recommended a body shop located at a residential home on the city's west side.
He showed me certificates that I thought were real, and he said he had permits to work from home.
The insurance company issued 2 checks, and Jessica paid the repair shop nearly $5,000 up front to start repairs in mid-July. Jessica says the shop owner told her the job would be completed in 10 days, but several weeks went by.
I kept asking this man, can you please send me progress? Can you please send me pictures?
August came and went. Jessica still didn't have her car. Then weeks later, the shop owner promised to finally release her vehicle.
On September 7th. I sat out there from 7 o'clock to 9:45. He never brought the vehicle outside.
A week later, Jessica contacted Cleveland police, and they went onto the property to retrieve her car. She took this cell phone video, shocked that her vehicle was still dismantled and unfinished.
And the fact that someone's operating out of a residential area tells you right away they're not legitimate.
Cleveland's Chief Assistant Director of Law for Code Enforcement, Dave Roberts, says just last week, building and housing inspectors were on the scene, verifying the home was operating as an unauthorized car repair shop.
The inspector reports that he saw 2 dismantled cars in the front, and he's got a high fence in the back where he's hiding other cars.
Roberts told us unauthorized car repair operations like these locations News 5 found in businesses on Cleveland's east side this past summer are a potential neighborhood health, safety, and environmental risk.
What if one of those cars catches fire? What do you do about the waste products?
News 5 will not name the repair shop involved in this case as the city investigates. Jessica has a word of warning about dealing with unauthorized residential repair shops.
If it's not a legit shop, just do not do it at all. Do not take the chance.
And Cleveland's Department of Building and Housing right here at City Hall says running an illegal repair shop in a residential neighborhood is a first-degree misdemeanor. And if that homeowner is convicted in court, it could earn them up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine for every day that illegal repair shop remains open. You know, News 5 will follow through on this developing story. Reporting right here in Cleveland, I'm News 5 investigator Joe Paganakis.
So Cleveland's Department of Building and Housing says the best way to report unauthorized home repair shops is by dialing the city's 311.
Las Vegas, now 8 are facing murder charges and police are looking for more. Miguel Almaguer has the details, and I have to warn you, the video is disturbing.
Investigators say the swarm of high school students punched, kicked, and stomped to death 17-year-old Jonathan Lewis. Using viral videos of the brutal beating, police say they've now identified 8 of the victim's classmates, arresting the suspects between 13 and 17 years old for murder.
What you see in the video, though, is approximately 10 subjects kicking, stomping, and punching our victim, Jonathan, as he's on the ground, not defending himself, and to the point where he becomes unconscious.
Left to die alone in this alleyway, a passerby found Lewis unresponsive, rushing him to a nearby high school. The coroner listing his cause of death, blunt force trauma homicide. As police work to identify at least 2 other students.
Just an incredible young man who just loved life.
Lewis's father says his son was defending a smaller friend.
It's just like absolute lunacy. It just looks like these kids have gone totally mad.
Police believe the fight was over stolen headphones and possibly a marijuana vape pen taken from the victim or his friend. Investigators say the teens agreed to the back alley fight after school, a brawl they say that ended in murder.
Calling what happened here void of humanity, tonight police say the teenage mob who pummeled a classmate to death could soon be charged as adults. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the app or follow us on social media.
The feds busted an international drug ring they say was operating from inside an Ohio prison. Today, 11 people were charged with their roles in importing dope from Italy to Northeast Ohio and beyond. From inside the Ohio penitentiary, a federal indictment alleges Brian Lumbus Jr. ran an international drug ring from his cell. Officials say he coordinated with his co-defendants to distribute the dope across Northeast Ohio, as well as Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee. The feds say Lumbus enlisted the help of others to do what he couldn't do while locked up. Get the drugs, assemble them, repackage the drugs, then mail or deliver them to others for distribution on the streets. One of his alleged accomplices is an Italian citizen, Giancarlo Miserati.
He has been a provider from the foreign supplier and the final destination in the U.S. That's something that is not very common.
Officials say Miserati got the fentanyl and other drugs from China, first sending it to Italy and then to the U.S. to avoid detection from U.S. officials.
Miserati also shipped other Schedule I synthetic opioids and synthetic cannabinoids to Lumbus Jr.'s organization, some of which are more potent than fentanyl.
Prison investigators suspected Lumbus was operating a drug trafficking ring and called in the Ohio State Patrol and DEA. Investigators traced the business relationship between Lumbus and Miserati back to April of 2016.
We have no idea how they met.
Some of the people listed in this indictment have been accused of sending tens of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin to buy and distribute the drugs. It's alleged the ring is responsible for 95 kilograms of fentanyl.
2 milligrams of fentanyl is really all you need for a potential overdose. Talking about a kilo, for example, of fentanyl could potentially yield 300,000 to 500,000 fentanyl tablets. Yeah, that's a significant amount.
Enough, DEA officials say, for more than 47 million deadly doses. This international drug ring, operated from inside prison walls, has now sparked a new Ohio State Highway Patrol unit.
This section will be designed to target drug trafficking and organized crime within our prisons.
Last week, federal agents traveled to Italy where Miserati was arrested. Tonight, He's locked up in Italy awaiting extradition here to the United States.
Right, it was passed by Ohio voters last week, but the debate over issue 1, it continues at the State House. And while some say we need to respect the vote, others want to find ways to restrict abortion.
This all stems from a group of far-right Republicans drafting legislation to stop issue 1 from taking effect.
Columbus Bureau reporter Morgan Trout breaks down what's happening and what leaders are saying about abortion restrictions.
Remove jurisdiction from the probate court.
A group of far-right Republicans are proposing legislation to undermine the issue 1 vote. The move would make it an impeachable offense if judges uphold abortion rights after issue 1 enshrined them in the state's constitution. But now House leaders are shutting down threats of punishing judges.
This is schoolhouse rock type stuff. We need to make sure that we have the 3 branches of government, and the Constitution is what we abide by.
And while House Speaker Jason Stevens says the bill is dead on arrival, he initially made a statement on election night that the legislature will do something to protect innocent life. He has since backtracked and said the bills wouldn't be about limiting abortion.
I think we need to continue our focus on, what are we doing for babies.
But Senate President Matt Huffman floated some limits on abortion.
People mention the 15 weeks and the exceptions and things like that.
Would 15 weeks be going against the will of the people?
I don't know. I think it's a discussion that is in the future.
On the other hand, Senate Minority Leader Nikki Antonio thinks Huffman is out of touch.
And I think what you're hearing right now is that the gravity is sort of sinking in, that the people are watching, the people are paying attention, and the people voted.
She says that Republicans could go against the will of the people.
They have told us time and time again a total ban. So I do not trust compromise. I trust the people, and what the people just said is, this is what we want.
Stevens says that the court will decide on abortion laws, so he isn't in support of taking away judicial jurisdiction, putting a repeal on the ballot, or making more restrictive regulations.
Whether it's the moms, the babies, everybody, these families are extremely important, and yelling doesn't accomplish that goal.
At the Ohio State House, I'm Morgan Trout reporting.
Now, Republican leaders also want to change issue 2, which legalized recreational marijuana.
Proposals include regulating where people can smoke weed and putting guidelines around advertising.
They want to pass a bill with the changes by December 7th, but aren't hopeful they can get it done in time.
iPhone 15 Pro for your husband.
Recreational marijuana law could be coming. Today, Governor DeWine explained what they plan to do. Columbus Bureau reporter Morgan Trout learned the latest in what the GOP wants to change and how Democrats are pushing back.
Ohio voters spoke.
They were voting to whether to legalize marijuana in the state of Ohio. We have an obligation, I believe, to carry that out.
Issue 2 legalizing recreational marijuana for adults passed decisively, but that doesn't mean that it can't be edited by state house leaders. Governor Mike DeWine met with the heads of the Senate and the House to discuss changes he wants to make to the law.
I don't think any of the things that I have suggested that we do really flies in the face of the spirit of what people were voting for.
They have 3 main priorities to address: guardrails for children, tax policy, and safety on the roads. DeWine wants to prevent weed exposure by changing where people can smoke, limiting access to products like edibles, and putting guidelines around advertising. The leaders also want to change tax policy by moving sales tax from a social equity program to local law enforcement. This could then help with preventing high drivers.
I have to focus on it because we have to administer it. We have to make sure it actually does in fact work. We have to make sure it's a fair tax.
And while Republican leaders pick and choose what they want,
it's a slap in the face to Ohio voters.
Democrats like State Rep Casey Weinstein feel the GOP is leaving them and the Ohioans out of the conversation.
I really don't like, and that I see a lot at the State House, is decisions being made behind closed doors. Well, Ohio voters have earned a seat at the table.
Voters chose 57 to 43% that they wanted the recreational marijuana package that was being sold by the advocates. Weinstein says there is room for clarifying the law, but he doesn't trust the Republicans to not completely change it.
I fear that could happen now, especially given the rushed timeline that the governor has put on the legislature here.
DeWine wants the lawmakers to come to an agreement by the effective date, but once weed is legal and citizens are abiding by a set of laws.
How do you put the genie back in the bottle?
With or without the changes, the law goes into effect on December 7th. At the Columbus Bureau, I'm Morgan Trow reporting.
Now, marijuana cultivators in Ohio say they feel like they're in limbo now that Issue 2 is passed. Clutch Cannabis says the company is now waiting on plans to expand grow operations in retail stores. The company wants to get ahead of production before dispensaries can legally sell late next year. And how much demand is another big unknown for business owners.
It will take time, I think, to capture more and more of that revenue and tax it and regulate it and that sort of thing. Part of the state's ability to do that is going to depend on, some policy decisions that are made here.
Clutch Cannabis already has 2 medical storefronts in Lorraine and Canton. The owner adds those locations will add on adult use sales. The company is also working on building a 3rd storefront in Summit County if local officials agree to it.
get back in 3 times the amount is worth. Now, also to mention, Koch is E1, which is still in my catalog for me. They hired a lawyer named Keith Berglund, paying my money every month to make sure I won't get a default judgment. I got the default judgment, and Koch the one ended up with my shit, and they the one ended up back to Interscope. Now, for Snoop to say him and Michael Harris are doing something together as a team, that tells you a lot of, I'm disappointed in that motherfucker, because if it weren't for me, you'd still be in prison doing life. You turn around and you say you partners up with this dude, neither one of y'all got death row, or bought death row, or purchased death row. Now it's fun.
So what you mean when you say that he'd still be in prison?
Because when Snoop got convicted for the murder,
Snoop Doggy Dogg, a judge in Los Angeles refused today to drop murder charges against him.
We, the jury in above and Tyler action, find the defendant, Calvin Brodus, not guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree.
we had one song on him. We did a video shoot in Long Beach. For whatever the reason was, when I pull up, they was in there beating up Snoop bodyguard. A guy named Lee was jumping on him and Snoop. I go in and get on the dude, choke him out and get him off from the whole nine. Then another guy from his neighborhood. So when that took place, they said, "You got to be standing up. You can't be no punk." They pull up at their apartment. There's 4 guys in the car. It's Snoop. It's Lil Style. It's Malik. I think it was Shine Dog. Yeah, it was. Got through up a gang sign to them. They start chasing them in the Jeep I got. They shoot. And the guy got shot in his ass, ricocheted up and killed. Right? So now they got a warrant for the liquor for him. Naturally, who the first person they call, who didn't say, "Oh, I don't want to get involved in that," but that's murder after fact. The motherfucker dove in and took care of business. When he got David Kenner, Don Ray, and Johnny Cochran to represent all these guys. I got him a hotel room, and they was all in the room. When me and Butchie walked into the room, they was all crying. And why everybody so sad with watery eyes? They said, he getting life. We can't beat this case. I said, why? The lawyer said, well, the bodyguard has a 9mm, so we can't say he protected Snoop and shot the guy. Snoop had a .380. I said, that's not a problem. I said, we'll be fucked if the bodyguard had a .380 and Snoop had a 9mm and he got shot with a .380. Right? He got shot with a 9mm. I said, the bodyguard had a .380 and Snoop had a 9mm and the guy got shot with a 9mm, we fucked. But since Snoop had the .380 and the bodyguard had a 9 and he got shot with a .380, that's all the bodyguard got to say is he was using .380 bullets in his 9mm. They say, man, you're a genius. You should be a lawyer. So I got Johnny Cochran to represent somebody. I got David Kenner to represent somebody. I got Don Ray to represent somebody. Now, in between times of this going on, one of Snoop guys, I ain't gonna say no name, and Snoop know this, he wanted a few dollars. So since he says he didn't give the guy the money, he called the DA. The DA put him with the PI. The PI met with him, and he told him the motherfucking truth and gave him some evidence. So it happened, Snoop's manager at the time, she dates the police. The police knew the PI for the DA. They was willing to talk to me because they say he fucked. But this guy is going to testify that Snoop the one shot the dude and killed him. He recorded him. I heard it for myself. The guy wanted to play ball. He got some bread. He destroyed the tape. And that's one of the things. But the most important thing, from Interscope, from everyone else that was in the business, told me do not waste $1 on that. I spent $6 million on that case to make sure he didn't get life in prison. Every day Snoop went to trial, and those guys had to come testify against him. It was 100 Pyrus and Bloods out there standing in front of that courtroom. Those dudes had to walk past. So for me to make sure this guy, and put my own freedom at stake, to make sure this guy don't be in prison, to go back and partner up with Michael Harris, who committed fraud against me, and the line said they're going to try to take death row in this day, which is not true. But even if it was, you should both try to get it back to the rightful owner. You didn't represent death row when you was on death row. That's just some bitch ass shit.